Gentlemen, this is Hollywood Mike Connolly. Welcome to the Arm Wrestling Tonight show. We're going to make sure that there is two biceps on the screen. I've zoomed in. You see a nice sweat patch there. I'm working hard here for you, ladies and gentlemen. This is hard work, and it is at the Arm Wrestling Tonight show. We are here. We have the man, the co-host, the co-founder, the co-breather of air, the co-wearer of clothes in this very room. It is none other than the master of disaster, the king of Sting, the Count of Monte Cristo. It is Thunderlips, the ultimate male. It is the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year award. It is the illustrious award held by the illustrious man with the illustrious beard. That is not the award there. That is a glass of window cleaner, but it could be an award for somebody.
Symbolizes the essence of the award.
That's right. That's exactly it. And it is none other than your friend and mine. It is Dave Stockbridge. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for that very warm welcome, as always. Hollywood Mac Connolly. We're going to weigh in on the Knuckles Up, Ryan Bowen, Tom Holland controversy.
You were waiting to use that the whole time.
I was just ready to get into it. So this has been playing out over the last day or so, and of course, for us, this is an evening show, and for much of the world, they're just waking up to this news, or they went to sleep with it last night, and it's been weighing on their minds as they've been trying to have a restful night's sleep, and they've not been able to because they can't get to the bottom of it. No one's heard from Ryan Bowen on the matter, I don't believe, officially or unofficially. There's been no back channeling here, so we don't have that side of the story. What we do have, though, is that we've had a couple of podcasts drop or live streams drop today. One from the High Five crew, Knuckles Up guys. Will got onto the computer and dialed in Tom Holland, and they had a chat about it. And I believe Tom Holland also, there's the discussion right there. So you can head it straight over to the High Five YouTube channel and see that for yourselves. And people making comments. Devin Larat was in the comments. I think Ray was in the comments at some stage. Ray is also, Coach Ray is also released a video himself explaining things. He's got screenshots. He's been talking to all of the people involved, and so you've got everybody involved in the story talking about it in the last day or so. But Ryan Bowen himself. So Hollywood Matt Connolly, what are your initial thoughts and impressions?
Yeah, well, I guess we should explain the situation for people who don't know what the controversial topic of the moment is. And it's funny. It seems to be with arm wrestling that every week there is something, and then it'll move on to the next thing. And this is the thing at the moment. But yeah, it's an interesting topic of discussion. So basically, what Tom Holland is said that they had an agreement, himself and Ryan Bowen, heading into Knuckles Up 5, that they were both going to weigh 86 kilos, which I believe, what is that in pounds? 186 pounds, I think, off the top of my head. It's around that. But yeah, so they've said, yeah, we're both going to weigh in at that. No worries. Ryan has got to the location a couple of days early, and he has texted Tom and said, hey, look, I'm going to struggle with the weight. And he I think 2 days prior to the actual event, he sent a video showing that he had made the weight down to 86 kilos. This is what Tom has explained on the show with Will. And then Tom said, yeah, that's great that you've made it 86, but the weigh-in's tomorrow. Like, you can't weigh in 2 days early. It's 1 day early is the weigh-in. And I don't think Ryan responded to that message, apparently. And yeah, so there was some controversy there. And I believe that they did an official weigh-in the next day, and they did it it was in the hallway or something. Will was saying they just did it very briefly, and Will did say that he saw Ryan stepping on the scale and 219 pounds, which is 100 kilos basically, just under,
which would actually be the heaviest we've seen Ryan in nearly a year.
Quite a while. Yeah.
So
that was the number that really confused me a bit, because I've spent a whole month with Ryan in India. He was struggling to get anything above the 90s, and he
Mm,
was eating, 3, 4 meals a day. We were training hard, but yeah, he was sitting low 90s that whole time. Uh,
mm,
we know that talking to him leading up to the event, he said that he was right on point with his weight, and he was showing us screenshots of scales and saying what weights he was at, and he was within striking distance. I think he arrived at New York at like 89 or
mm,
something, so he was
mm,
very, very close to the weight. Yeah, I guess the issue that the problem really that arises is that Knuckles Up, the promotion, and from a promotions point of view, they have allowed the athletes to set an agreement with each other over the weight instead of
mm,
being the overseeing body and saying, okay, if you guys are agreeing to this weight, we're going to make sure that that weight is set. We have a system of penalties in place if you don't make the weight. None of that was there. So I think that they've said their approach is, look, we don't have weight classes. If you guys want to agree on a weight, you guys organize it, sort it out yourselves. But on the other side of that, if somebody doesn't make the weight in an outside athlete's agreement, can you then overturn the result of the match? That's where the controversial point from my perspective is.
Yeah, I mean, it's so there are mitigating circumstances. There are stories about fake scales or scales that that might have been assisted in some way or something. There is that real interesting question of why would Ryan be on weight 48 hours before and not be able to hold that for another 24 hours as well. So there is that. The huge weight discrepancy in the that from what we've seen, like in the week leading up to what was seen by Will. There are gaps in this story that I'm sure only Ryan Bowen can fill, and so I think we've got to start with this story accepting that for now. Um, we've got people weighing in and sharing their thoughts on the efficacy or does Tom Holland deserve the win? Then does he deserve it to be overturned? Should there be a purse split? These are all really valid questions, but Hollywood Matt Connolly's are 100% right in that there is not a fight promotion that I'm aware of across disciplines that allows the athletes to negotiate a catch weight uh, amongst themselves after it's already been set in the days leading up to it, or that would prescribe for the athletes to weigh themselves 2 days before and for that to even be agreeable. That's that. Now they mightn't have known that, but that's in part because they've left it to the athletes. I think it is just perhaps the case that uh, this is just a bridge that they haven't crossed before, and so they haven't had to develop a protocol for it, and they'll learn out of this that what they need is to say, okay, well, if you've got this agreed weight, it's 86 kilos, and one of you weighs in, two a gram over that, your penalty is if you win, it's a no-win purse. If your opponent agrees to still go ahead with it, and the opponent might say no, nah, or seek to negotiate some of the win, the forfeited win purse, and still maybe risk the damage to reputation to get through to the next opportunity that might be out there.
Mm.
So this is, I guess, well established in the fight world, and but I guess I'm not familiar with Will's and Chris's background, but it doesn't seem to have come out of that space, and so maybe just something that wouldn't have occurred to him until it happened. But if you these things are really serious, and there's huge implications, like the gambling implications for things like this. What will get you into trouble, So luckily, there couldn't have been anybody, putting too much money on this match because ultimately there would be a shit fight, and everybody would look for somebody to blame. And it'd be It wouldn't be the athletes, because when if look, arm wrestling is half cheating. I think we all accept that. That is the nature of the sport. If there's latitude in the rules, a good arm wrestler is going to find all of it. Okay, and did Ryan did he find the cheat code in this and go, you know what? Maybe I can weigh in at 15 kilos more and say that I did this, and they've not sanctioned that, and then no one's going to watch me and monitor me, and maybe I can get away with it. Maybe it was all premeditated. Maybe it was exactly like that, and Ryan just worked it all out and 4D chessed it and worked it. I don't think so, but maybe it was. But is that gamesmanship? And did he still win? No, you could argue the efficacy of that win, but you can't argue that it was a win. Yeah, and if you're putting money on that match, is it still a win? And what would be the implications of overturning matches? And it's a dangerous precedent as well. And this is where it gets squirrely. You can accept that was just the wrong thing that we did, and or that something went on there, we didn't have control of it, and call it nothing. You could do, or you could call it what you like, but gambling implications associated with overturning a win like that. Who's to blame? Is it the athlete? Is it the athlete that manipulated the rules and played within the rules, or stretched the rules maybe, or is it and still won, or is it going to be the promotion that didn't have the rules or didn't have the protocols in place? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess there's the difficulty of having the organization taking two different opposing points. And the first point that they've taken is, we will allow the athletes to set up their own agreement and we won't have any input in that. But then after the event has happened, they're like, oh, they didn't go to their agreement, so now we will take action on their agreement that they made up between themselves. It's like, hang on, wait, you can't do it both ways like that.
Yeah.
you're in control of it, or they're completely in control of it. So yeah, I think that has
and Neil's exactly right. Everybody knew when the weigh-ins were supposed to be. I mean, and in what world is it acceptable for an athlete to say, oh no, I'm going to have weigh-ins like a week before, or 3 days before, or 2 days before, as long as my opponent agrees? I mean, that's very, very peculiar. And also, if you're at the weight 2 days before, wonderful, good. That's you're more than on track, aren't you? So yeah, what was going on? We don't know, do we? I mean, we can only speculate. We can only speculate.
That's right. Well, that's it. Well, Mr. Man is happy because he said that Ryan gave him the inside word and he won $5,000.
Nice.
Lucky Wood is in the chat. Hello to you, Lucky, and always great to see you here. Elbow Down has jumped in to say, Bowen controversy, never. No. Wouldn't be the most controversial figure in arm wrestling. Neil pick up the man who we wouldn't be where we are with arm wrestling without him. He says, I cannot wait until everyone sees what happened at Arm Wars Dark Card 4, Holland versus Tarasitis, when it premieres this Saturday for our YouTube channel. For members, a whole new perspective. There we go.
I was actually thinking this is really good promotion for that event, and I think Will might have snuck it in at the end of that of his discussion with Tom as well on the subject. So yeah, great promo for it, isn't it? So we're all looking forward to a war there. We don't know who wins, but we're all looking forward to a war. So
for sure, absolutely, yes. Matawaringi Hedda Morris is saying hello as well. Hello to you, Matawaringi. On that card, the card we were talking about.
I know, he was right there. Wouldn't it be great to? Maybe if he could jump on, maybe he's got an insider's perspective. Maybe he can lend a little bit to the controversy.
I think
throw some fuel on the fire.
He was stepping on the back of the scale when Ryan was standing on it. That's what happened. Ryan's like, how am I 100 kilos? I was 87 2 seconds ago. So it unfortunately has created a bit of drama at the moment, and I'm sure Ryan will at some point does what is quite clever, and he lets things die down and gets all of his facts correct, and makes sure that he knows the best way to deliver a response, rather than just jumping on and mixing up details or whatever. It's like, no, let me just figure out exactly what I'm going to say, and I'll respond to it when I'm ready.
Yeah, well, I guess the arm wrestling world now awaits Ryan Bowen's side of the story. Very interesting. And maybe if Neil's still watching, he can let us know if he has ever recalled a match being overturned like that, and under what circumstances that was. So it'd be very interesting to know, or maybe just good content or subject matter for a future podcast, perhaps. So. Every also knew what the weight class was supposed to be. Ryan is telling arm wrestling.
It was a great match, but it 100% did not happen at the agreed weight class of 86 kilos rematch.
That is a fact. That is a fact. Is that going to be on Arm Wars? You're already negotiating this, Neil.
Lucky says, I was there, and prior to the press conference, when it was announced, was interesting to say the least.
Okay, get into the details.
Yeah, well, I think there was some booing that took place after Ryan had won, which I was not sure why that was taking place, but I guess the people who knew about the weigh-in stuff were the ones booing. So yeah, it's a tricky one. But
I think a tricky one, isn't it? It's a tricky one, but you know what it is. At the end of the day, arm wrestling is expanding and growing so quickly at the moment that there's always going to be some growing pains. There's always going to be something that pops up like this that challenges promoters to think about things more, and including ourselves. These things have now popped up on the radar and on the big screen and on the big stages, and so for everybody else, we get to see that and learn from that experience as well. And I think we all know now that arm wrestling is a very serious sport. These athletes were over there earning thousands of dollars. They're not amateurs. Their livelihood depends on the next match, and in some cases makes a big difference to these athletes when they get a win purse as well. It's a serious business, and it's incumbent upon promoters, the Neil Pickups and the Hollywood Matt Connollys of this world, to make sure that that these I's are dotted and T's are crossed when it comes to policing these elements of the event that aren't on screen and immediately evident, but can really impact a promotion's reputation or an athlete's reputation. I'm sure things have been said about Ryan Bowen today that he wouldn't like to have heard, and so it's these things have a trickle down effect and an impact, and so when we're all about creating more opportunities for everybody, something like this that might impact the sport at some level. So also, it's my earnest belief that our sport only survives long term when you can bet on it, and incidences like this where it makes it harder. It makes it harder for that to for the sport to be bettable. So, not that I'm condoning gambling in any way, and you should always gamble responsibly, but
bet it all on black.
But if you're going to do it, yeah.
Put it all on the green, the 00, the lucky stars. That comes up very rarely. That's really good to bet on. Yeah, well, I mean, what I would have liked to have seen as an outcome for this is that I think from Knuckles Up perspective, that they would have said, okay, look, this is what happened. We've made a mistake, and we recognize that we've made a mistake by not controlling what happens with the weigh-ins. And moving forwards, we're changing that. We're going to set it up so that it runs the way it should run. And there's not going to be penalties thrown out because, look, we've made a mistake here as well. I mean, we shouldn't have done it that way, and this is the result. So everyone is learning from this, and we're going to be back, and we're going to be better, and we love both guys, and they're happy with each other. And if we do a rematch, we'd love to see that as well. I think that would have been a better outcome than what they've chosen, which I don't even know the legalities of it. whether contracts, whether things are written in there that this is even a thing that they can do. Ugh.
Yeah, yeah. It's a big mess, and it wasn't mopped up very well. And we're not also fortunate to have a Grant Law in our lives, for instance, who can help with these situations when they unfold. But it's a big learning for everybody. Neil's really vocal on it. Let's see what Neil's got to say here.
Spoke to Tom, mate. He doesn't want the win. He wanted the match at 86 kilos. Ultimately, that match is void. Slim Shady, will the real Slim Shady please stand up? Let's do it again. And bet your ass I'd like it at Arm Wars.
Awesome. Well, you've heard it all here. That's an exclusive, isn't it? So yeah, I think yeah, I could see why Tom would be disappointed, because I also feel like Tom at in the high 80s or it would be feeling heavy at that, and it seems to me like it's almost a bit of he made weight very, very comfortably, and for him to get up to say that 100 kilo mark would take a long time, and wouldn't be agreeable to his constitution. That's not something that would be easy for him to gain. Whereas Ryan has had this ability to kind of scale up and down. And, we've seen Ryan Bowen at 80 kilos. We've seen Ryan Bowen at 108, 109 kilos. We've seen him all in between, and with all different types of facial hair now. So, so for Ryan, it seems he does have this this physical elasticity, where he's been able to go up and down, and Ryan has been talking about entering that weight category, and Ryan would be big in that weight category. So but in this occasion, coming into it, we just don't know where the wheels came off at some point. One thing that is undeniable is that Ryan was there and was heavier than what he would have liked to have been, and that there was some, something's happened in the meantime through discussions, and through that has meant that for whatever reason, that rule of strictly being 86 kilos, as the match was advertised and as you might have betted on, and it didn't take place. So yeah, it's an interesting one, and I guess we're all going to have to now subscribe to the Arm Wars channel if we haven't already, and make sure that we're getting all the notifications so we know when the big matchups coming up. But I guess we're going to see Tom Holland perform again, and here's one thing. It would seem that Tom Holland's now got even more fans. He's got more chatter around him. Will was talking about even more opportunities and where they might come. I guess Tom's active on several of the world's biggest stages now. Arm Wars, Arm Gods, and Knuckles Up, and he's a really big name in the sport for somebody who is 85 kilos. And when you're thinking 85 kilo guys, how many names really come to mind immediately? Yet Tom is one of those guys. He is that guy that now immediately comes to mind when you mention 86 kilos specifically. You're going to be thinking about Tom Holland, and it's actually good for his branding. He should change his handle to Tom Holland 86. He's going to get more opportunities out of this. He's got more fans, more goodwill, hopefully more subscribers on his channel, and he's got even better opportunities ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll jump to the comments for a second here. We've got RHCP, who's one of Ryan's biggest fans, actually. You'll never see him around if Ryan has won a match, but now that this has happened, he's popped out again. I'm only playing. We love you, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yes, it is Bowen's illusional video dropping soon. Yeah, we'll see. It might happen. Procrastinator says, I think Ryan went a bit too hard with the weight training and started putting on a lot more muscle mass than he anticipated, as opposed to just losing excess fat. Should have just come clean. Yeah.
Maybe, maybe that could be. Maybe, who
Mm,
knows?
yeah, lots of
I mean,
questions.
didn't he look good though?
Yeah, absolutely.
Genuinely, Ryan Bowen's in the best shape of his life, and it's just unfortunate for him that it kind of gets him in the middle ground, doesn't it? He's not quite big enough to be a genuine heavyweight or super heavyweight, but and he's not quite light enough to be that 86 kilo competitor. He's now in this middle ground, which in the world of super matches and personalities and all of that. But again, there's it's a pretty narrow band of athlete that you get to compete against at that weight class.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, for sure. Neil Pickups is absolutely, he'll be big at that weight category, 99.5 uh, in the 86 kilo category. Mother fluffers. Rematch, let's go. Lucky says, Neil, I haven't forgotten that you promised me an interview. Well, maybe we'll see that
Ooh.
one day soon. We'll see if we can
Ooh.
get lucky on the fix or something. The
Mm.
French Reaper says, I don't know what's up with the controversy. Bowen said he made weight within the rules. You know, that's the
Wow.
thing, is the rules were set between Tom and Ryan, so
This is
they
the
could have been
thing,
anything.
and this is where Will and Chris have got to be really careful because they're making up the rules now as they go along. Now they're overturning matches, and was it one within the rules? Was it one within the rules? Very interesting, isn't it? It's going to be interesting to hear the other side of the story.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there'll be a few more details that will come out over the next few days or whatever. But by then we'll probably have moved on to the next controversial thing. Procrastinator says that with the weight he's at and the body composition, he just needs to stick to 95 kilos, as competitive as it is. Well, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what Ryan
Mm,
decides to do.
yeah.
Neil Pickup says French Reaver controversy is he actually didn't make weight within the rules. Seems like the organizer's mistake. I tend to, and I love Will and Chris, what they're doing with Knuckles Up, and I don't want to be too critical or anything like that. I think overturning a win is probably not the right move. I think that saying, hey, look, this is a new thing for us. We weren't expecting this to happen. We've recognized that we can't have it this way, and we're going to change this for the going forwards in the future. And this was an agreement between two athletes. We should have been overseeing it. We didn't. We learnt that. We're going to move forwards with it, and from here on out, it's going to work as it should have.
And it's a situation that I'm kind of unfolded. I mean, if he's seen that, and then did he turn a blind eye to it, or did he then check with Tom and say, "Are you still good about?" I mean, I have watched the podcast, but all the details might be good to have them on. But ultimately, like that, I guess you're exactly right. I'm not going to rehash it because I'm really glad that it happened to them and not us.
Well,
uh,
I said our weight class rules based on pretty much what the UFC has. So yeah, it was
yeah.
very very simple. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how we need it to be for us. Yeah, mate. Well, let's talk a little bit before we go away to about our upcoming guests. So we've got Tyler Harrison, who's an up and coming Australian athlete who is based in Adelaide, who has been training under Lachlan Adair's tutelage up until recently. Has been improving rapidly. He's a member of your club, the SA Titans. So you get the opportunity to grip up with this young man. It was upon your suggestion that he joined the AWE Grand Prix cast at the most recent event in October, and he walked away with a whole ton of experience, and certainly got an opportunity to show the world what he's all about. And we look forward to sharing more of him with you tomorrow night. So if you want to learn more about Tyler Harrison and how he's trying to make his way in the world of arm wrestling, from being a top club guy into the AWE and then looking beyond, then please tune in there. He's a great young guy. He's a good inspiration for anybody who's just starting out in arm wrestling and looking for a pathway forward. And then on Monday night, we have Jordan Biggie Steffens. So he is one of the most famous strongmen to have ever come out of Australia. He's one of those guys who you might just see walking down the road pulling a jumbo jet behind him, for instance. He's or a train. So he's held several world records over the years. He's now a regular performer. You'll see him at the upcoming Adelaide Fringe, but more importantly, he is still very much a strongman. So he'll be sharing with us some of his strongman stories, some of his travels, and what he's got planned for 2025. So he'll be up on Monday. And then he'll pick up on Tuesday night. So looking forward to having that discussion with Neil. He can catch us up with all things going on with Arm Wars and let us know what he's got planned for 2025, because that is a man with a very, very busy schedule at the moment. He's announcing, hosting, commentating on all of the big events around the world, and on top of that, he's doing his own. So he's a very, very busy man, and always doing his best to spread the good word about arm wrestling.
Absolutely, yes. So we'll finish up. We'll read through these comments here, and then we'll probably wrap things up, as we like to keep these shows around the half an hour mark.
We can.
Lagia says the organisers are definitely at fault too. Don't give the athletes this absurd amount of freedom to begin with. I guess that's the point.
It is the land of the free, though. It is America.
It's America. Neil Pickup says, lads, you're not helping him. Love you for trying, though. Good for you. Stand by your man. There's a massive amount of information which hasn't come out yet, and if I wouldn't want it to.
Well, yeah, well, you got to love the one you're with, Neil. That's the thing. Like the great song said.
Procrastinator says, I think at best it should just be a no contest, or just put a big asterisk on the win, and it can be rectified with a rematch. But I certainly think Bowen was being a bit sneaky.
There was probably some sneakiness. There was. Yeah, it seems there was something. But we'll find out more, of course.
There we go. And Procrastinator has been a Bowen fan for a long time. Neil is calling for the rematch.
Yeah,
Procrastinator agrees with that call.
That was rematch on Arm Wars, I think, specifically.
Yeah, I think it was definitely on the Arm Wars card.
And at 95 kilos.
95. A lot of people calling for the rematch, which is great to see, and I'd love to see a rematch as well, regardless as to if there was controversy or not.
I'm gonna put this out there because I love a good conspiracy theory. I reckon that Tom Holland and Ryan Bowen cooked this all up weeks ago. You know, they're messaging back and forth, they're texting. This is why the promoters had no idea what was going on. This has completely blindsided them, and then. It's all gone down. Tom's, all of a sudden he's getting, a bit whingy about it and telling Neil, and Neil's on the phone, and Coach Ray's getting messages, and before you know it, the whole arm wrestling ecosystem's been activated, and then they're talking about taking it away, and then they're talking about it being on. Is it going to be on? Is the rematch? Because now that's a given. Is that going to be on Arm Wars? Is that going to be on Knuckles Up? Mate, I reckon they've just cooked this up. All of them. Neil Pickup, Coach Ray.
It always goes back to Neil. He's
and this is what I'm going to call the Robert Baxter effect. This would not have happened before Robert Baxter. He's the puppet master. He's pulling all the strings.
It's not even a real name, that Robert Baxter. That's two made-up names.
That's what you get.
It's not even a good made-up name. Neil says, won't the real 86 kilo Slim Shady please stand up? Please stand up.
Come on, Neil, admit it. You're in on it. It's it's all a conspiracy.
It's photoshopping screenshots and
yeah. That's why everybody's saying, I've got screenshots. Well, I've got screenshots too. Matt's got some screenshots. Everybody that needed to have screenshots, who's got a little podcast or a voice, then they all got the screenshots. Now everybody's got screenshots. Yeah, very interesting. So, what do you think of my conspiracy theory there? Ryan Bowen, Tom Holland cooked it all up for a rematch, Madison Square Gardens.
Double money.
Yeah.
Double jeopardy.
Yeah.
All right.
It's only just a matter of where it's going to be and how much everybody's getting paid.
Well,
That's
I'd
what
love to
it
see it
is.
on Unwars, I'll tell you that.
All
All right.
righty.
We might
Well, listen.
finish things up. Yeah, we'll
Finish
call it.
things up. Any last minute comments? Classic.
We
Wrestling scripting. Yeah, exactly. Run
run
it
it
back.
back.
Pick up. Yeah, awesome.
And Lucky's put a emoji there, the triple laughing emoji with the crying eyes.
Everybody's laughing until they find out that the conspiracy theory is true. That's
right.
So,
starting here. You heard it here first. All right, guys. We will be back tomorrow night.
We will be back tomorrow night. Tyler Harrison is going to be joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all. I'm Dave Stockbridge. That's Hollywood Matt Connolly's left bicep. There's the right one. Look at that. Look at that split. Isn't that just glorious? We look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Thanks for tuning in to the Arm Wrestling Tonight